And then you can. That was one of my. Yeah, sure.
It's 6:15, so I will officially call our December board meeting to order. And this is the annual board meeting of the retiring board. Taking roll call, please note that all directors are present in person. You'll let Carol get settled.
Sure.
We've had many meetings this past month, so there's minutes from 4 different meetings, regular and special meetings, so I'll ask for a motion to approve our previous meeting minutes.
I'll move that we approve the minutes from our previous meetings.
I'll second.
Okay, hearing a motion and a second, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next, we'll take care of old business. And the first item is approval of board policy 802.7 energy conservation. This was tabled at the November board meeting. And I know that since it was first shared with the board a few months ago, this was brought back up. I had, this policy was reviewed by our staff teams, and there was one concern that we're working in a very at capacity mode, being more reactive than maybe proactive. So I want to, as the board reviews this policy, I want to be conservative with our staff capacity, but I do think that we can state a few things to help move in the direction of having an earnest role in energy conservation with our schools.
Yeah, I feel like we kind of skipped over it last month because we weren't all in the same spot being separated there, so I think it's a good start, and I think it's a good thing. I would move that we move the energy conservation policy.
I'll second that.
Okay, so made a motion in a second. Is there any further discussion?
I did look around there super carefully. Did you have anything in there that you were thinking about, Curtis, that you're like, what's feasible, what's not feasible, maybe? I know there's a lot of creation as well, so I want to say who that falls to, but
there, depending on how it all shakes out, there could be a fair amount more of work for the maintenance department to do, which we're short of, but we'll figure it out.
This is broken down for to assign roles and responsibilities. So the first section is for superintendent or staff lead, and next is employees, and then following is maintenance team and board of directors. I feel that the language here is drafted in a growth mindset of goals that we can aspire to, but maybe lacks specific metrics of measuring success, which I think is okay, and it's a good beginning.
Which I think is what a board policy is meant to do, to give us the umbrella, and then we work on the specifics afterwards. I think one of the earlier things that would be an important thing for us to do would be to do an evaluation of our buildings and see what, what are the most simple and cost-effective things we can do to increase our energy efficiency.
Yeah, and I know that you've spoken up in maybe having capacity to be interested, and maybe not. And this was in conversation about the new school project, but we could maybe as a board lean on you for.
Well, and we have wonderful resources in Decorah to
We
be
do.
able with lots of experts to be able to help us with that. So I think that we get pretty big bills for
we do.
for our energy. I think whatever we can do to reduce those bills would be cost effective for us and just the best thing we can do for the district.
Yeah. Okay, any final comments before moving to vote? We do have a motion in a second.
I think the state of the document right now is great. I think there's probably some intricacies that we can tweak as the months and years move forward,
Yeah.
but once we get there.
So we will move to a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next, we will have approval of the treasurer's report from the previous fiscal year.
We don't have our SBO on. So I don't.
Just jumped on.
Just jumped on.
Perfect timing.
Okay, awesome. Joan, can you hear us?
I can hear you. I'm sorry. I couldn't find, I'm using my phone. I had to find the little unmute. Okay. So what you're to approve now is the June 30th balances. Those are balanced. And those will be reflected in our 25 audit, and annually you need to approve a treasurer's report stating that.
And I'll just take a minute to, general fund is all the funds that we use for all sorts of, just basically all the operations, obviously salaries and benefits. Student activity funds, those are generated by student groups and go out for student activities. Those might be gates at sporting events, is a revenue source for that. And then there's all sorts of expenses going out that are related, not just for high school activities, but for middle school and some at the elementary. Management fund is a levy, the management levy, and we get that in as a tax, and then we use that to pay insurance for the school buildings, not health insurance, but for the school buildings and for vehicles. We also buy our natural gas through a management fund project. Pepple and Save, we've talked about those a lot recently. Save is the 1 cent sales tax, and then Pepple is the local tax as well. Both Save and Pepple are used for buildings and buses and facilities. Capital projects, I'm not 100% sure I could describe that one. And then debt service is basically any GO bond loans that we have taken out, and that's like our mortgage payment, or that's what we use to pay our debt. How was that description, Joan?
That is great. The capital projects, actually, like Save and Pepple and capital projects, are all kind of all under the same umbrella. And so like our bonds will run through Fund 31, which is capital projects. So that's where we'll see that. And I think there's a small balance in that one, probably from a previous bond, but that's where our new bond will be coded to.
Yeah, it's spent down to just $152 left. So we're back to the next.
Yeah, and it's been that way for a long time, probably more than a year, it looks like to me, so.
Well, Joan, thank you for all your hard work.
Sure.
Does the board have any questions?
Well, that was interesting that you mentioned that we pay our natural gas out of management. Do we pay our electricity out of management too?
No, that was we can't. The natural gas, that's about a 5 or 6 year old program, and it's the Wood River. We started doing it I think my second year here. And it was a way to save general funds. So we're kind of buying, we pay one fee up front for our natural gas for the whole year, and it's kind of like if the natural gas price, they do charge us a little extra to do this. But there's always the possibility that natural gas costs go up, and then we're kind of insulated on that. So you're actually buying insurance against your natural gas costs. like the bills go directly to Wood River and we pay Wood River. So, but it's a great, lots of districts have done it, and lots of districts who have a management fund that's much higher than Decorah's, and that's a whole other topic of discussion. We'll do it just because they're looking at ways to spend that fund down.
And we can continue to do that.
Yeah,
Yeah, the way this winter is starting, that might be a really, really good deal.
yeah, 100%. And every year they look at it and I did ask if we could use it to buy our liquid propane for our buses, and we can't. So that would be another great way to cut costs.
Yeah, I guess my only other observation or anecdote about treasurer's report would be the general fund is down. And I think that reflects the way the state has allocated funding to schools and the increase of costs to run a school or to maintain the staff that you have at a school or within a school district. I'll move that we approve the 24-25 treasurer's report.
A second.
Okay, hearing a motion and a second, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thanks again for joining us, Joan.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, next is a review of the abstract of votes, and this has to do with the election of directors to the school board. And you can see a report, both Lily Jensen and myself ran in at-large positions for a 4-year term, and Brad Darling ran to fill a vacancy, and that was from Brian Petersburg transitioning out of his director role partly with the term, where Brad was appointed for 1 year and then ran to serve for another 3 years.
Total turnout was a small portion lower than it was 2 years ago.
Right, it was not a presidential election. It was just an interesting city school election all around. Any other questions about the votes?
We're reviewing these, we don't need to approve them, we're not the ones who approve these.
Yeah.
Right, so this is the information. Okay, and then before I officially adjourn the retiring board, Ron, I wanted to thank you for your 16 years of leadership on the Decorah School Board. I know that many see Ron or have watched him in his leadership role through public meetings and pictures and quotes in the newspaper, maybe attending a school board meeting or in your later years watching a school board meeting online. But I had the unique perspective of having you as a professional mentor these last 4 years. And I have seen how much time, capacity, heart, and work that you put into this role. And I think there's very few individuals in our community that could uphold the commitment that you showed. So you're leaving enormous shoes to fill. And I want to thank you for sharing your time and expertise when our district needed it the most. Thank you, Ron.
Well, I don't know if I could say anything at all, but one thing that's been in mind. My grandmother was a country school teacher here for most of her life. And I can't help but think how proud she would be of what's happened in the last 16 years. So thanks, Grandma.
Thank you, Ron. Okay, so I call the adjournment of the retiring board, and we'll have a we have some gifts to share. And, okay, excuse me, before I officially adjourn. Darlene Woodhouse is also, is also looking forward to retiring later this month and spending more time with her family. Darlene, you have shared years and years and years with the school district, and Darlene's quiet leadership, not only in helping our board function well, and when I look at her, give her a side eye, and she gives me a quiet little suggestion of what I should do in the role of president. Darlene also helps with a lot of behind the scenes in our central admin office and helps through so much support for our district, not only for Tim in the role of superintendent, but for all the business happening through our district. Thank you for your commitment to our teachers, our kids, our staff, and our families.
Thank you.
So, I would say, just adding just a couple quick comments on Darlene. One of her strengths is right here in the manila folder, where the meticulous detail of getting an important legal document from Allers and Cooney, where you have to sign everything, and Darlene goes through it, and she's got everything tabbed where all the people have to sign it and all the right names. And that attention to detail is super important, and very much appreciated. I love to give Darlene like the calendar, and then she goes through and says, oh, this needs to be changed or something. So she's really good at just being real specific. And as I'll get to, just a rather quick comment for Ron. One thing that happens when we sometimes get in our board meetings and we get a little, maybe we've made a motion in a second, and then we don't like it and we want to do something else. Darlene is the one we look at and say, where are we at, Darlene? And, looks at her notes and she said, we've got a motion in a second, to make Ron the mayor of the town, and, whatever motion we want to do. And, then we always go back. So that's been very appreciated. And so Darlene, well, I'll do, and so I'm not gonna add too much to the comments for Ron, but I thought it would be appropriate if I handed out like a cheat sheet for Robert's Rules of Orders to all the other school board members tonight, because besides Ron's passion for Decorah Community Schools, which is evident in his work on the board and with the girls' union. Just today I was on the phone with DT McGee, and he was like, oh, Ron is great to work with. And so lots of people in the state know and appreciate Ron, but Ron is also the other person who, when Darlene reads us back what we've said, Ron is the one who explains to us how we're going to get out of it or what motions we're making. So we do appreciate both of them. And I think the photo with the plaques should say class of 83 does good, because they are both graduates of Decorah High School class of 1983.
Okay. I'll call the adjournment of the retiring board, and we'll take a quick break for a few photos before we move on to our next meeting.
Ron, I just have to say, that shirt you have on.
This was presented to me today by our superintendent.
It's one of a kind for one of them. Although there's a blue one, kind of different.
And now I came back from lunch and there was a package sitting on my desk and a nice card from Kim and a sweater, so of course I had to wear it tonight.
That speaks to Decorah.
It really does. In so many ways.
So, very good. Well, I think we're set for some photos, yeah. Call to order the organizational meeting of the new board. At this time, we don't, one of our first actions will be to, elect new officers, but so the superintendent is serving as, president pro tem. So I'll call the meeting to order. Roll call. Got all, board members, here are present. And at this time, we'll administrate the oath of office to the newly elected and continuing board members. So that's going to be Lily, Brad, and Cindy.
So everybody else, roll. Do you solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Iowa, and that you will faithfully and impartially, to the best of your ability, discharge the duties of the office of Director in Decorah Community School District as now or hereafter required by law?
I will.
Thank you.
Okay, now that we've sworn in our new, and continuing members, I will open up, the nominations for president of the board.
Move that Cindy Goodner be elected president of the board.
I'll second that.
And I'll pause and I'll ask for any other nominations.
I move to close nominate. Do we close
I
nominate?
can ask for it. You can move to close nominations. So all in favor of closing nominations? Oh, do I need a second?
Yes, sir.
I've got a motion to close nominations. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor of closing nominations? Aye. All right, so, we have, now do I have to have a motion to have the election, or do I just say? Now we've closed the nomination, so I say, all those in favor of Cindy Goodner for president of the board?
Unanimous ballot.
Yeah, we have to take a vote.
Yeah.
So all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
You want me to run and go get mine?
I know where to find them. All right. So now that I'm done being board president, 3 whole minutes, never underestimate practice and studying. I'll let Cindy will now take over as board president.
And I will give Cindy the oath
Oh.
of office for board president. Cindy, do you solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Iowa, and that you will faithfully and impartially, to the best of your ability, discharge the duties of the office of Decorah Community School District School Board President?
I will. Thank you all for trusting me. Okay, next we will move on to the election of vice president. And we'll accept nominations.
I'd like to nominate Aaron Zander for vice president.
Okay. What's the nomination?
I'll second.
Okay. Nomination cease. All in favor, please say aye.
Did you do the motion to
Oh, you
cease?
did not. I did not accept a nomination to cease nominations.
I'll move the nomination cease.
Okay.
Need
Do
a
I-
second?
Do I hear a second?
Yeah.
I'll second.
Okay. Nomination cease. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay, congratulations.
Does she have to call for a vote
You
now?
can just call and say, so everybody says aye,
Okay.
because that was for this motions to
That was-
cease.
Oh, excuse me. So now we'll move to a vote to. It is confusing and
It is.
once again. Okay, we'll move. We'll, for the election of Aaron Zander to be in the role of vice president. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay,
Now I'll do, the oath as vice president to Aaron. And do you solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Iowa, and that you will faithfully and impartially, to the best of your ability, discharge the duties of the office of Vice President of Decorah Community School District.
I do.
Thank you.
Okay. Next, we'll move on to reading our mission and vision statement. I'll go ahead and read that. At Decorah Community Schools District, we embrace student learning and well-being as our fundamental purpose. We will, in partnership with our students, families, and community, make the world a better place. The mission of the Decorah Community School District is learning, thriving, creating our legacy. The vision of the Decorah Community School District is Decorah Community School District will be a collaborative, innovative, learning-centered organization empowering students to embrace their personal strengths and create their future. Next, I'll accept a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay, hearing a motion and a second, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next, we will approve consent agenda items. And under bills and personnel, you know that, Aaron, you're gonna cease from,
Yeah, I need to abstain from the item 7 bill listing. It doesn't have a letter attached to it, but I'm the last one under the activities.
November
November.
activities. Yeah. So when we do accept a motion, we'll vote on all, separating out the November activity fund.
I'll make a motion to approve consent items excluding the November activity fund.
I'll second.
Okay, hearing a motion and a second, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next, we will vote on that November activity fund separate and
You doing all November activity fund or just for one,
just the one,
the one thing?
yeah, just the one.
You excluded just the one?
Yeah.
Okay.
I move that we approve the one. It's not numbered on with the, was it pool?
I'll second.
Okay, hearing a motion and a second, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. And abstain. Okay. Next is open forum communication from the public. We have a lot of guests here tonight. Did anyone sign up to make a comment?
I did.
Okay. Come up, Steve.
Right here.
The open forum is set aside to the board to hear comments from the public. Public comments are not limited to items on topics on the agenda, but are limited to matters within the board's authority and are not to exceed more than 3 minutes in length. As per Iowa code, the board cannot discuss matters not posted on the agenda. Also, please remember comments are being made in a public forum. Any comments that are made considered to be inflammatory or libelous may be subject to legal action. Take it away, Steve, and I'll set my timer for 3 minutes and give you a friendly nudge when you get close.
Great, thanks. Steve Peterson, 3029 Middle Hesper Road, Decorah, Iowa. I'm asking you to vote to support the Public School Strong Resolution calling for fully funding public schools and to phase out Iowa School Voucher Program. This resolution is not anti-private school. In fact, without vouchers, private schools would be in exactly the same place they were just a few years ago. I will say, though, that school vouchers are unpopular. Last year in states where citizens could put school vouchers to a direct vote, vouchers lost in Nebraska, Kentucky, and Colorado. Arizona is beginning to roll them back because they're just too darn expensive. And Illinois got rid of their voucher pilot program after citizens organized against it. School vouchers aren't really popular in Iowa either. It took 2 times to get them passed, and there had to be some arm twisting. But Iowa citizens don't have the opportunity to put items on the ballot like in these other places. So we are asking elected officials, school boards, and legislators to respond to their constituents and work toward a rollback. Rest assured that we will continue to work hard to roll back school vouchers going forward. It's our duty to our community. Why? Well, public money should go to public schools because public schools, like public libraries, fire departments, police departments, are examples of public goods. No one would suggest that I could choose to take the money that I pay for the library and use it to buy books on Amazon. That would undermine the public good of libraries. And school vouchers really do undermine public education. They cost the state over $300 million this year, and it's only going to get more expensive. Having listened to school board meetings over the last several years, I know that you struggle with the effect of declining enrollment and low state funding on class size, course offerings, co-curricular offerings, and educator compensation. School vouchers put a huge hole in a state budget that's already facing big deficits. And I worry that additional tiny state funding will cause our local students to lose choices. And that we'll be forced to increase class sizes, or our educators' compensation will make it harder to attract applicants. When hundreds of millions of dollars go to school vouchers, it guarantees low state aid to Decorah. I stand with you as you support the students of our community. Voting to support this resolution sends a strong message to our community and our legislators that you know the detrimental effect of school vouchers on our community school. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to make a public comment? Okay. We'll move on to our next item in the agenda, which is a presentation from the Decorah Defenders from Decorah Middle School. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for being here.
As they're set up, guys back up, one of the co-sponsors of the Decorah Middle School, Mr. Scott. Been a lot longer than I have. I think this is my second year on the dealt with.
Since the Decorah Center started, and I'm not sure what year that was.
A long time.
A long time.
They're going to explain what they do, so I'm not gonna do a whole lot of introduction, but these are our 6th and 7th grade Decorah Defenders. Our 8th graders have HD parents tonight, so they're not able to be here. But this outstanding group of students is gonna take a few minutes to explain a few of the projects that they do at Decorah Middle School, so I'll hand it over to them.
Who are the Decorah Defenders? We are a group of 6 students from each grade who are selected by our peers in 5th grade.
In 5th grade, and mostly at the end of the year, we will be voted by our peers, and the top 6, 3 boys and 3 girls will be voted to be the defenders.
We meet every Wednesday morning 1 hour early to plan activities and assemblies.
Many activities and events throughout the year. Most activities that we have throughout the year are like homecoming and other things like blacklight for 8th graders and lessons.
What do Decorah Defenders do? Decorah Defenders plan monthly assemblies and create primetime lessons to go along with the same sub-theme. So they address issues about the school. So like if there's like a problem or if something's going on, we'll usually be supposed to report it to an adult or something like that. And then we're playing homecoming dress up day. So this year's was Hawaiian Decades Day, where we like dressed up like color day, where each grade wore a different color. Spirit day was basically just where Decorah and this other one. So students dress up as teachers and teachers dress up as students. And we also plan the Blacklight Activity Night, which happens in the spring every year, but that is for older. And then we organize Red Ribbon Week, where we have an assembly for Red Ribbon Week, where we have speakers who talk about their experiences with addictions or family members who have addictions. Okay, so we organize the holiday food pantry drive, where we raise money to help the food pantry. and then help the student body where we just, yeah, just in general.
The Decorah defenders decide on plan for the school year in May of the previous year. The theme is the basis of all of our assemblies and lessons for the.
Our theme this year for the whole school year is Scoopy You. It helps with like the students' mental health, and just helping every day.
What better way to be healthy than ice cream, right?
Sprinkles. Board defenders plan and present assemblies which happen on the fourth Wednesday of each month. The assemblies are presented to the entire school. Each assembly has a specific theme of perseverance, empathy, or needs. Lessons happen in 2 weeks after assembly and follow the same theme as assembly to continue learning about the topic.
These are some of our, these are some pictures from, the Red Ribbon Assembly. And you can see the two speakers, speaking right there.
All the students at our assemblies usually stay very engaged with us. All of our lessons, we're talking most of the time, except for when the principal and then sometimes Mr. Stock comes out and talk. So we're always engaging, as you can see. They're usually on the edge of their seats, just listening to us. We always have a fun game at the end that usually helps reel them back in if they start to drift out. There's a couple pictures. We had a game this year where they had to hold a balloon and do separate tasks while peers are trying to knock the balloon out of their hands. That was pretty fun, especially the raft. Okay, any questions?
I just want to tell you all, thank you for sharing your time in this leadership position. It's really incredible that you were nominated by your peers and they look up to you, and thank you for being present at our formal meeting tonight. I could see and hear all of you very well. You're all very articulate, and thank you for coming so well prepared. I hope that you feel proud of yourselves. I do have one question. And maybe you said this, but are you in your role for multiple years, or is this a
Yeah, so basically you can, so you're 6th, 7th, and 8th grade.
right?
You can drop out anytime though, so
Okay,
it's pretty optional.
right. Raise your hand if you've been in it more than 1 year. More than 2 years?
8th graders in here.
Eighth graders. Thank you.
Very rare that a student drops out. They usually do all 3 years and give up an hour early of sleeping on Wednesday mornings. They come an hour earlier than everybody else, and just a great group of kids. Not the kind of kids that are just nice, fake nice. These are really good, right? Yes.
Thank you for being here, and please pass on our regards to the 8th graders, even though they couldn't be here tonight. Thanks so much. Thank you. Okay. Next, we have a string of items. The next 4 items have to do with putting our bond to work. We'll go through these one by one, but each of the next 4 items will have a roll call vote to.
So the paying agent agreement, is a very long document, where we agree that, we'll use Allers as, our paying agent.
I know Allers has been an incredible partner to work with in many areas, but especially in getting this bond ready to go. Does the board have any questions specifically about the agreement?
And I maybe should say, Allers prepares this for everyone when they're borrowing money, and they've done it for a bunch of years, and so when they tell us put something on the agenda, we put it on the agenda verbatim. So, not that I won't try to answer as many questions as you ask, but just understand that, and they need to have these documents by Friday, so just another piece is Darlene's gonna go around and get it signed in Almaquee, because we are just in a little bit in the Almaquee School District, and then at Winnebago County Courthouse tomorrow, pending positive board approval to that.
Yeah, I would just make a quick note that this isn't us hiring hours for something. This is us. Was it last week we had our meeting? Got a rate for our bonds. This is the one that issues the bonds through the lowest bidder. So.
Yeah, they're just the steps. We have to approve our tax certificate. We have to approve that we're going with UMB Bank, thank you. And so, yeah, this formalizes all the work from the other two meetings where we said we were gonna do it. We opened the bids last Monday. And so this is the formalized, yep, this is the $10 million that we're borrowing.
So I move that we approve the resolution appointing the paying agent, the bond registrar, the transfer agent, approving the paying agent, bond registrar, and transfer agent agreement, and authorizing the execution of that same.
Well, second.
Okay, hearing a motion and a second, any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll move to roll call.
Roll call. Aaron,
Aye.
Carol, aye. Cindy,
Aye.
Brad,
Aye.
Lily.
Right.
And then we just need
Motion carries.
motion carries, and then we'll move on to the second.
Yeah, so we'll move on to approval of the form of tax exemption certificate.
I'll move that we approve the form of tax exemption certificate.
I'll second.
Okay, hearing a motion and a second, is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll move to roll call again.
Carol, aye. Cindy,
Aye.
Brad,
Aye.
Lily, aye. Aaron,
Aye.
Okay, we'll move to item C, which is approval of the continuing disclosure certificate.
I'll move that we approve the continuing disclosure certificate.
A second.
Okay, hearing a motion and a second, any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll move to roll call.
Cindy,
Aye.
Brad,
Aye.
Lily, aye. Aaron,
Aye.
Carol, aye. Thank you.
Okay, next we'll move to item D, which is the resolution amending the resolution authorizing the issuance of not to exceed 15 million in obligation bonds. And just to know, this was drafted in the spring, which was edited, so we're only borrowing 10. This document still stands to take action, even though we're borrowing a smaller amount.
Yes, that was the question that came out of the pre-board meetings, is why does it say 15 million if we're only borrowing 10 million? And it was stated earlier that we would borrow up to 15 million. So this is saying we're borrowing up to 15 million. We know the number is 10 million. And then that April 14th, 2025, that's the day we approved the budget, which includes the levy. So that's when we said we're gonna start collecting for the geo debt, which I guess would have been gone into effect July 1st. So we've been collecting this as part of the taxes in this community because we approved the bond. It's part of our tax levy for the 25-26 school year. The fact that we're just borrowing the money now just kind of completes the fact that we've been in a sense collecting the debt service levy. But that was we kind of workshopped the answer when that came up. It was Brown and Aaron who raised that, and they're like, why does it say April 14th? And we realized that's when we approved the budget, so.
Well, I'll move that we approve the resolution amending the resolution, authorize the issuance of not to exceed $15 million in general obligation school bonds, series 2025, and levy a tax for the payment therefore of adopted April 14th, 2025.
I'll second.
Okay, hearing a motion and a second, any further discussion?
I don't think we have mentioned yet, and of course, we talked about this in our last meeting because we approved it, but it is UMB Bank
Yes.
that we are working with on this, and they are affiliated with in local banks.
Yeah, as I came to find out maybe a little bit later, they're affiliated with Viking State Bank, which is actually the parent company is Waukon State Bank, so. Yeah.
Thanks for noting that, Carol. Okay, hearing no other comments, we'll move to roll call.
Brad,
Aye.
Lily, Aaron.
Aye.
Carol, aye. Cindy,
Aye,
thank you.
motion carries. Next, we're on item E, which is approval of SBRC for modified supplemental amount requested. Open enrollment out.
So the SBRC is a school budget review committee, and every year school districts, after they get their certified enrollment done, there's a couple different ways you can ask for extra spending authority. And again, spending authority is not cash, it's the ability to raise that cash. And the big one that we do every year is the special ed deficit. As with all school districts in Iowa, or 90% of the school districts in Iowa do that. But these are a couple smaller SBRC applications. You one of the things that you learn early on is you always want to get spending authority. It does get added onto our tax rate, and then we just generate that money locally. This is the actual application off online. You can either ask for money if you've got increasing enrollment, which unfortunately we don't have and haven't had. But the other one is if you have new open enrollment out students. And so as you know, we are very positive with open enrollment out versus open enrollment in, but we get to count any students that are brand new open enrolled just for this school year. So there were 8 students that for the 25-26 year are new open enrollment out. So that could be kindergartners that just started, a family from a different district who moved and here that wants to stay at their old district, or somebody who just wanted to open enroll. So there's 8 students funded at $7,988 per pupil, is the $68,282 that we're asking for the new open enrollment out SBRC request.
Well, I'll make a motion that we approve the application for the modified supplement amount for open enrollment out.
Second. Okay, hearing a motion in a second, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next is item F, approval of SBRC application for modified supplemental amount request for LEP beyond 5 years.
This is if you provide limited English proficiency services for students more than 5 years. And when I'm reading this document, it looks like we have 4 students. 3 are at the intermediate level, so they have a weighting of 0.21. And 1 at the intensive level at 0.26. So you add up those portions and you multiply it again by the 7,988 per pupil, and you get that our request is for $7,109.32. When you just to understand the weighting, if you're a limited English proficiency student, you're not getting services full day, you're just going for a little bit of the day. So that's how we are able to do the weighting, and that's the formula that comes right off the car. So there'll be times that we also get if we have a dual enrolled student who comes to we've got some students that come for band at the middle school. And we also get to weight them and count those, and we just count the portion, the St. Ben students, when they come for band or they come for the math class, we get to count for just that portion. And that's on our certified enrollment. So seeing that weighting is not an uncommon thing that will show up every now and then. But with regards to here, we're asking for $7,109, which isn't gonna really put us over the top as a district, but you always want to ask for every little bit that you can.
I'll move that we approve the SBRC application for LEP students beyond 5 years.
I'll second.
Okay, hearing a motion and a second, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next, we're on item G. And this is approval of an MOU for community facilities use agreement between the city of Decorah and the Decorah Community School District. This was approved by the city council last Monday night. And this not only talks about community use of the new school property outside of school hours, but it also terminates our current 28E agreement with the city on the tennis courts. And that's an important action that needs to be taken so construction can begin, just to make sure that we have all of our details covered.
So this document, the new MOU in front of us references the 2023 document. The two parts that I would raise that pertain to both or fall between them are the duration of the document, which is section 2. The MOU lists it essentially in perpetuity. The 2023 document has it written as 50 years. So there is a slight discrepancy there. The 2023 document also shares an understanding with the city that certain parts of our property may not be accessible. So I don't know that we actually need to terminate the old 28E because we've already agreed to that in the 2023 document. Just stating that for.
Well, I know that the agreements have been reviewed by Allers and Cooney.
Yeah, Allison putting, no, just a different person.
Yeah. Do you have, I mean.
I don't have any problem with the documents themselves. I just wanted to, I don't actually think we need to cancel the 20. We would need to do this to be able to proceed with construction because we already have that understanding in our 2023 agreement.
Yeah, that's an interpretation and as we kind of talked, our goal was to move through with the process that was collaborative and that both the city and school agreed on. And as we know, there's parts in here that give the city confidence that we'll continue to allow our facilities to be used. This was important to getting the site agreement approved and making sure we could move forward. So that's what I'd say about that.
And there was something specific to the tennis courts from when we own the tennis courts jointly to where we own them specifically now as a school district.
Absolutely. We're gonna go, we're gonna go, the old agreements talked about how the tennis courts, originally the tennis courts, 2 of them were on city land and 4 were on school district. And they had different provisions in there. The usage was very similar, but like the lights and there was a annual maintenance fee that I don't think we ever charged the city, but we were allowed to. And so those go away with this. And we'll just operate more like I think most communities that have tennis courts on school grounds, and the school just manages them. The piece that we put a couple pieces in specifically, I had a concerned community member call me and say, you guys want to have enough control over it so we don't have a situation where like late at night people are hanging out at the parking lot as a lower fairway, which every time I say lower fairway, there's certain people that smile and nod, and I don't know about that. So In fact, some of the people might be in the room that caused trouble.
That's not to say that we don't support kids recreating
No, no.
in the evening hours. How beautiful that they might be playing pickleball or tennis together in the evenings, but. Yeah, does the board have any other questions about this agreement?
No, I mean, Aaron, I understand maybe this is overkill, but a 2080 and a facilities use agreement are different things, and so I think we might as well state clearly that they're both terminated to not have to come back to this again in the future. I think 2080 agreements have different obligations than a facilities.
We wouldn't have a 28 agreement though.
We won't going forward, but
Correct.
like, I think that the joint administration one still exists. Because of the shared.
No, there's a facilities, it's our land now, so it's a facilities understanding that predates the owning of the land and how it would be operated. And we're stating that we're gonna continue operating that way in the future via this document, which doubles down on the 2023 document.
Yeah, the 2023 document did spell out all the facilities and how we would still allow the city to use those. And was pretty specific in listing. It doesn't just say you can use our gym, it said you can use the Kerry Lee gym and you can use, the high school gym. And of course, it's all around our schedule and stuff. It's not, you can't just walk in there on Thursday and say, we want it, so.
Yeah, I have truly no issue with the document itself. I believe that school property is part of public land. And so outside of public school hours, I have full confidence that if I want to take my kids to go play in the playground, that I can do that because it's not during school hours. It's a weekend, it's whenever, it's summer, you name it. So I don't see any issue with this. I think it's probably doubling down on something that I think we would all agree on, so.
Oh, for sure. And I think what I've heard from city council a lot is that's okay, but they like to have it in writing so that in 20 years, when there's different people on city council and the school board, that it's understood that the agreement's in place. But yeah, I'm sure a lot of communities have schools with tennis courts and don't have agreements with the city and people just use them. And I do know people that come to Decorah play pickleball on our, out of towners play on our pickleball all the time in the summer, because I've got friends coming to town and they want to know when the pickleball game is. So.
And during the school year also.
And occasionally some of the retired ones maybe during the school day. So.
And in addition to that, Park and Rec does uses of facilities for a lot of different uses, so.
Yeah.
Throughout the summer in particular.
Yeah.
Our outdoor facilities.
I mean, not to believe, I think we're a good partner with the city with our facility use, and this just, I guess, puts it in writing or codifies it so that there's ease of mind on that.
Yeah, I know at the city council meeting, it was asked, what if we don't approve it? I think this was a good thing to keep working with the city and keeping our working relationship viable, so. With that said, I'd move to approve the MOU agreement.
I'll second.
Okay, Carol got the second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next, item H, approval of at-risk dropout plan, does not have an attachment.
Okay, there could have been an attachment. I don't know where it went.
It was removed, so I think.
Okay.
Because I think it was changing.
All right.
Okay.
I'm gonna say let's table this for January when we can approve it and still get it attached anytime.
That's great. Okay, moving on to item letter I, establishing meeting time, date, and location for our meetings in the year to come. Which in the winter months, we've been meeting at 6:30 p.m. and then start March through September, bumping that meeting time up to 5:30 p.m. and that's to accommodate Aaron's schedule. Lily, do you have any problems with either of those, or do you have other? Or Brad or Carol, do you have any opinions to share about our meeting cadence?
No, I think the more standard we keep it, makes it easy. If we move it from one building to the other, we gotta tell people.
Across? Yeah, right, okay.
The only thing that comes to my mind about it is, over the past couple months, realizing that our board meetings overlap with city council's board meetings. So if you want to attend both, it's impossible without live streaming one on your phone and sitting in the other, or live streaming both, I guess, but then you're not actually present. Anyway, so that would be my food for thought would be, do we want to maintain a Monday schedule, knowing their Monday schedule, and the challenge of collaboration that might,
Well, I think I was really inspired. We had a lot of good communication with the city council in this last month, and we were able to pull everyone together for a great workshop. Out of respect for all the people who regularly attend our Monday meetings, which includes our admin team, I think consistency is important. So I don't have a lot of concerns, knowing that with city council, if there is overlap, we can look ahead, plan other work, conversations if needed.
And we're the second Monday of the month, right?
Right.
And they're the first and third, so unless there's special, like
So-
you have to adjust the schedule for something.
Zoning is always the second,
Oh, okay.
zoning is the one that always hits ours.
Okay, well, this isn't an action item, but I'm hearing general consensus that our current, that as stated, works for everyone. So thanks all.
And we have occasionally moved the meeting. For example, tonight,
All right, thanks.
to accommodate schedules and get people to band concerts.
Right. Okay, moving on to item J. Appoint a 2025-26 shareholder board representative. I think this is a group that will engage outside of board members and admin team or staff. That's going to involve parents and community members, and this is an important group to re-engage in the year to come. And does anyone, so these next items on our agenda are going to talk about our role, like as board directors on different positions. Does a community, school, state shareholder board position sound attractive to anyone?
Who did this last year?
This
I
was.
I don't recall a board member being on it the last couple of years, but
Yeah.
I was on it during my first year or 2 years on the school board.
I think I was on that maybe my first year. When did they meet?
randomly, throughout the year, I feel like Tuesdays or Wednesdays at the middle school library.
Monthly or
I'd say, let's say quarterly.
quarterly?
Yeah. Carol, does that sound like something of interest to you?
Sure, I could do that. I think it would fit into my
Yeah,
schedule.
yeah.
Okay, great. Next is the county,
A motion.
so we do need to formally approve, okay.
I'll make a motion to appoint Carol to our shareholder board representative spot.
A second.
Okay, hearing a motion in a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next, appoint a county conference board representative. I served in this role last year, and this involves a couple of meetings in the wintertime with the county board of supervisors. They have a diverse group that gets together to talk about the plan for the year. It was a great experience, and it really helped me understand just how our local government works and keeps everything running. And we've had some pretty incredible county employees that have been in their staff roles for a long time.
Yeah, I did it the year before that, and I would concur with everything you just said. you really get a deep dive into county finances and, those are also stretched thin in many ways, the same way we are. So,
Is that something that consistency is important, or?
It's really just a couple of meetings. I don't know, Lily, if you would be interested in serving in that role, I think that would be good.
good background information for something else.
Yeah, great.
I'll make a motion to appoint Lily to the county conference board representative slot.
I'll second.
Okay, hearing a motion in a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next, the negotiations team. Last year, Aaron and Ron served on that role. Aaron, if you're open to it, I think having consistency with at least one person is really important. Brad, I would ask that you consider serving in this role as well. I really, I'm excited about your previous board, engagement on the Winship County Co-op Board, and I think that I've been pretty overextended with school planning meetings, and if you could take that role, I would appreciate it too. I don't know if the board has any other thoughts on that, or.
Would be fine.
I support what you just said.
Yeah.
I'll nominate Aaron and Brad to serve in those roles.
No, second.
Hearing a motion in a second, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, next is item M. Discussion of possible approval of the University of Iowa research study with pre-approved parental consent.
I shared with the board members, this is a research study for a PhD student at the University of Iowa. We don't normally do this. This is much more intense than like a student teaching agreement. Obviously, it's passed institutional review board at the University of Iowa. So that means that it's been vetted and it's a legitimate research study. And they do have to have, it's working with students with special needs in middle school, high school, and they have to have parental permission to do the study. So no one's gonna come in and do a study on students without parent knowledge or consent ahead of time, which is why I would support it and put it on the agenda. This person, as someone who actually got their PhD from the University of Iowa, I know it's hard to find subjects for your research, and so, but it is a unique situation, and I wouldn't want to have agreed to it without bringing it to the board's attention and getting your approval. So
I looked through it a little bit. It looked like students would mostly be asked to do an online survey of some sort. Is that going to be happening during their school time, or is that getting sent home to be completed?
it's got to be outside their work day. I can't say that it wouldn't be during the school day because it could be facilitated with parental knowledge of it. So Mrs. Smith is not here tonight. As our special ed director has been working with this person's request.
Justin, do you have any information about this or any opinion?
Not more than what we have here.
I think the fact it requires parental approval, I feel very comfortable. If a parent wants to opt in, they can opt in, and if they don't want to, they can say no. And it leaves it entirely up to parent choice, which is fine by me. So with that said, I will move approval of the University of Iowa research study.
I'll second.
Okay, hearing a motion in a second, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, next is a discussion and possible approval of the public school strong resolution. So the attached resolution is advocating for public money to go to public schools. And the Public School Strong is a local volunteer group that has worked to gather and inform community members and has collected petition signatures to then pass on So they're asking our formal approval of this petition. Which will show support for public dollars for the public schools.
I think, it's a great document. I don't think it's gonna harm us in any way to say out loud what we all believe we need and what we would hope to have. So that's my thoughts on it. I mean,
Well, and I think as board members, our role and our duty is to support the best interests of our public schools. And I think that we would be blind to say that this hasn't had an impact. We've seen a declining enrollment, and enrollment matters. That means money away from our general fund, and we want to support our current staff, students. I do not want to start taking away programs or staff that could impact class size or programs. And I agree with Brad. I feel comfortable taking a stand on this. And
yeah, I agree entirely with the premise of the document, all the facts, the figures, the research. I agree completely. My only internal question is about what the outcome will necessitate, because we don't control any purse strings. We don't get to make funding decisions, and so it's like your child asking for more allowance money, and we aren't the ones doling out the allowance money. We are the kid asking for more of it. So I don't have any issue with the document itself, and I agree with it in its entirety. I do hope that if we pass it tonight, that more schools will follow suit. That was one of the questions I asked, was how many other schools are also signing on. I do think that the purse strings are controlled by the legislature. And so hopefully the right place to get this is to the legislature to say that, yes, representative, state senator, etc. All the schools within Wenatchee County now say approve this. And so we would like you to sign on to it as well, take it one step further. But none of those things are within our control. And so I can see where the things are leading to. I don't know that we are necessarily the right people to say, yes, we should. We can advocate and say we need more money, which is the truth. Like, school funding is at its lowest point compared to the cost of inflation, compared to the cost of everything that it's basically ever been. And so, yes, we should have more money, but we aren't the group that gets to decide that. And so hopefully they can take this and do something with it. But we aren't the ones that necessarily get to make those actionable decisions.
I agree with you. I think how we can help them is by publicly and supporting it, and the more schools that do that maybe follow along, and it makes their message a little bit stronger. So with that said, I would move that we approve the public school strong resolution.
I'll second.
Okay, we're in a motion in a second. Any further discussion?
I would like to thank the Public School Strong group here in Decorah, which is very active, and citizens who are really pushing our state to understand the value of public education in the state as well as across the country, and that it really is the backbone of our country. And while I do also appreciate the positive relationship that the public schools have long held with St. Benedict School and with the preschools in town, when public funds are used for those schools, rather than that affects the increase of the money that comes to the public schools. So I'm going to be happy to vote for this.
I think Aaron's right. There's a little bit of just this being symbolic, but it has to start somewhere, and I trust this group to take it where it needs to go.
Okay, we'll move to a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you for all your good work. Okay. It is 7:30, so I wanted to ask the board, I'm gonna sneak out to attend high school band concert. The rest of the items are discussion. I'm happy to pass the gavel down to Aaron to continue with discussion.
Yeah.
The board is comfortable with that. Okay. Thank you all.
Enjoy.
For the folks, time is
But go enjoy the concert.
Meanwhile, I'm the one who looks like I'm leaving. We'll move on to item O, which is discussion of the new elementary school project. So I'll hand it off to Tim to share a little bit more about the document, which was referred to in
Yeah,
last meeting.
this is a catch-all. We've obviously attached the new site plan on that was presented to city council last Monday. Highlights of the new parts of the plan included reduction of the size of the parking lot on the northeast, actually taking out some 9 spots, kind of where the tennis courts will go on the north side and the south side. So I think ended up losing about 20 parking spots, narrowing the driveways to pull in and pull out. That makes it then safer for pedestrians and bikers.
And making them one way.
And making them one way. The other, I think, big part was having the sidewalk be 10 feet wide from State, running all the way along Claiborne to where the new roundabout will go, where it meets Hively. And so that 10-foot wide sidewalk will, by virtue of the size of it, then be the natural way to egress the property from east to west or west to east. There is a kind of a northwest or north-south passageway that is right there on the west side of the school building. It's not as easy to see, but there's gates that, you know, if you're in a park in the North Alley parking lot, you would walk through the gates on the west side of the school. You'd walk straight across to the north side, and there'd be some steps, and you'd go up to get to the gate. Other smaller highlights that you can see on some of the drawings are we're gonna put curb cutouts in on 2 spots on Hively so that they can do a crosswalk, a city crosswalk. And I think I shared one of them would be somewhere near the Goose Island corner, and Patrick on principle doesn't want to put a crosswalk on a curb, and I can appreciate that. But we're gonna note that if the city wants to put a crosswalk there, we'll put in the cutouts for that. So that was approved by the city last Monday, which for the most part, I would say as all indication keeps us on schedule, which is super important. Because we do want to have these documents ready to go out to bid in December, so that we could still have the bid opening, which has moved a couple of times, but currently is January 22nd, which would be the day that we'll kind of know what everything's going to cost. And we've got a bunch of bid alternates. And after the bid opening, then we'll have worked toward that guaranteed maximum price with what are we including, what are we not including. And Travis, when we talked about Travis Squires, who's helping us borrow the $10 million, if you notice, he's already thinking through how much we should borrow against couple and save, and how much we should pay cash. He snuck that into one of his slides the other day that I caught, and just want to reiterate. I'm gonna take a breath because Aaron, you also attended the meeting on Friday. Were there any, oh, Carol, I'm sorry, it was Carol.
Oh, yeah.
It was gonna be, okay, Carol, was there anything else on Friday that you wanted to highlight from our, we do have meetings every 2 weeks with the group. It was a little faster meeting, but was there anything else that you think we should share?
I think the most important thing is that we're gonna be able to stay on our timeline and get the bids out. And I think that's really, really important, because that will help us stay on budget to be able to put these bids out at that time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Have they Do they have any updates on the stormwater plan?
No. They are still like, I forget what the update was. They had a meeting on Wednesday.
Patrick is working on that. Patrick knows the deadlines, and Patrick is working directly with John Yelly, and they're working to figure out, it's the material that seems to be the issue.
Mhm.
What material is the best material? They're working through that. They have the engineers' minds are this.
I think we can do this rather than, hopefully they're melting, yes.
Yeah, but getting the slope to the point where the water actually flows down it and it's not leaving sediment in the pipe and then backing up and how do you keep that clean and.
Yeah.
Apparently, there's always some sediment at the bottom of this
Mhm.
pipe. It's what they told us that, I think that's what John said at the meeting. There's always a certain amount of sediment. And with all the rerouting of the pipe that they've just done all along Highway, there should be less drainage that goes through this pipe. So.
And of course,
I'm confident that they're going to get this figured out anytime we get.
and the new piece of information, yes, they are confident on the time, or reasonably confident on the time. The new piece of information from last Monday was the company that's doing the street for the city. They're engaged in conversation because they've got to get the pipe across underneath the street to the school district. So that was obviously encouraging to know that people are talking, you know, we don't see all of it, but there are lots of conversations with John Yelly and Patrick and then now the street person as well. So, and I know there were other board members that not necessarily were at the meeting on Friday, but either attended or watched the city council meeting last Monday, have got documents. So if you want to highlight anything, I guess this would be an opportunity for you folks to add into the discussion as well.
You'll feel better after January 22nd.
Yes, that's 100%, 100%. And absolutely.
Hearing nothing else, I'll propose to move on to item P, which is discussion of the recent IASB annual conference. So all five of us were down at the convention. We all had different sessions that we attended. So I attended the board meeting, which included going through the entire IASB agenda, their views, their mission, etc. From a personal standpoint, this year's one ran way faster than last year. It was an hour shorter than last year's board meeting. So that was much approved because I got to eat lunch. So, but anybody else have anything big to share from what you heard or were a part of?
I thought it was good. I enjoy Thursday more than Wednesday, where you kind of pick hindsight. I think we could go to the finance one every year and probably pick up something. But I enjoyed Thursday. I kind of focused on some of the meetings that were more aimed towards community conversations, community involvement, board collaboration. Carol was in that one that we were together, you know, and so I kind of got some stuff. I think it was very beneficial.
Yeah, both of us thought that one was a really beneficial one. They talked about, this was the Burlington School Board, and they talked about they have a time, they do quite a few work, they do more work sessions than what we do. And work sessions where they're kind of working through items that are at various times. And I think that might be something that we have had a few work sessions lately. We had but I think that might be something that we could benefit more from. Instead of having, in addition, having formal meetings. And they also, in their formal meetings, they have like a sharing time where
somewhat like the city council is how I took it.
Yes, where the different members of on the school board can, talk about things, what that they've done, and some of them, volunteer in some of the schools. And, they give some reports of what they did and what they saw and the input that people gave them. And that is also a time for them to respond to, public comment, which is, always feels a little awkward to have public comment, and then you sit down and there's, at that time, that's not part of what we can do, is to have any conversation with you, but it would be, really nice to have a time to be able to, have some dialogue or give some feedback back to people that make public comment. So those are a couple of good ideas from, other school boards.
Yeah, I was just trying to keep my head above water. Yeah, I was really happy to have been there, learned a lot, was really grateful to be sitting next to Tim in School Finance 101, because yes, every year I think it's a refresher 202 or 303 or whatever the next step is. I did the required open meetings law that I think, well, and Brad did too, even though we kind of got out of it, didn't necessarily have to do it, but really fascinating. And slightly painful training. But I think, Carol, to get to your point of work, maybe trying as a board to hold more work sessions, I think, knowing what I do know now about open meetings, I think those would be really helpful, because it's really hard to get a lot of work done in a single monthly meeting. And I think that there are ways to grow and explore more options if we have some more informal meetings around.
Even in that training session, they did not expect as many people to be there that showed up. They had to set up a few more tables.
And this is the training for the open meeting law, which is the new state law says all brand new members of a board, any board in Iowa, have to get specific training in open meeting law. And it's optional for everybody else existing. So.
And they had so many, as they went through, they had mics moving about and questions and comments. Kind of towards the end, they hit the fast forward button and kind of just got us out of there. I feel like they did not expect as much feedback and as many people as what they had. So it was good.
Any interesting questions that came up? Because there's a lot with open meetings law. I could see questions being like, well, is it okay if we do this in our district? And hopefully you didn't raise your hand for those.
No, I mean, they had some examples, of, I mean, I would say their examples were pretty blatantly know what you should and shouldn't do, but they had they had a QR code at the table, so you scan on your phone and you know, so true or false, and they had the big screen with the bar graphs on how everybody was answering and stuff, but no, I bet you they'll do it a little differently next time, just to accommodate time frame and stuff.
Were there any nuances of the open meeting laws that you learned that surprised you, or something that maybe we aren't aware of?
Well, it was all led by lawyers, so I think you take it with the
It's a little dry.
a little bit dry, but also if you have any question that it might be a violation, then don't do it. Basically, that's the lesson I took away.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't come across, I felt pretty good about everything we were doing, I guess, so.
Yeah, well, and just kind of like when I do my board notes on the weekend or whatever, I always blind CC everybody, because the fear is if you put something in there and somebody decides to reply all and say, oh, I have a question about this, then you've got a rolling meeting going, and we try to be careful with not ever having more than 2 board members on a committee or something, but yeah, you have to be pretty vigilant with that, so.
And what you just said is a great note for the public, that you can email all of us as a whole, but we can't reply back the same way, to stay with the meeting laws.
Yeah. And I think, closed session, when you go into closed session, if you indicate there's about A through I or J different things, and someone's like you're buying land or evaluating, the I is evaluating the competency of an individual for hiring or terminating. but there's a lot of different reasons boards can go into closed
I
session.
never talked about closed session.
Okay,
I think that may have been the fast
Yeah.
forward part.
Yeah, it is.
well, if they had, one of the things they should have said is, we go into closed session, like if we're gonna buy land and we wanna go into closed session and talk about the land we're gonna buy. And we don't wanna talk about, hey, we're thinking about buying Carol Sand's property, because if Carol Sand hears about it, then the price goes up. You go into closed session for a specific reason, you can't get in there and say, oh, what are we gonna do about the coach of this sport or a class size or something, so just always making sure that you stick to the topic of closed session, so. But, and I will gladly sign up people for more finance classes, and I do, of the ones I go to, I think those are the ones I interact most with the board members, because I try to say, oh, we do this, or we don't do that, without, and I know it's like you're drinking from a fire hose, so, I got a couple of ideas from Lily, and I got the PowerPoint, and that's where, among other things, this week, I got to share that 90% of the school districts in Iowa have a special ed deficit, because that was one of the things that came out, and I knew that was a number, that was a source that I hadn't seen for it, so. And then, everyone is welcome to take the open meeting law, you're not required, but I can tell you that it sounds like Winnebago County supervisors are gonna require everyone who sits on their board to take it. And as a fun fact, I sit on the Board of Health, so I'll be taking the training here when it becomes available, so.
I think you've actually done a very nice job of segueing us into number 11, which is the superintendent's report.
I'm wondering what I put in my superintendent's report, to be honest with you, because it seems like a long time ago.
My graph is down at the bottom here, Tom.
Oh, there's the graph, right there. Yeah, so Lily, you missed the meeting, but every year to do our IEPs, we have to follow the IEPs, and that costs us a lot of money, as it does for other school districts. And so when we get a special ed deficit, that means the state funds us extra for special education students with an IEP. But at the end of the year, by the time we talk about revenues we came in, we received, and costs going out, when we have a deficit, then we can ask for spending authority with the SBRC. And that number is a lot larger than the numbers we asked for today. I think this year was about 800,000. Yeah. So it's a substantial amount of money. There's not any real good way to do that. It's like, you can't say, oh, we want to cut our special ed deficit, because you have to, by law, you have to follow the IEPs. So I will say, we had the 3D walkthrough. Nick came in person and did a 3D walkthrough and talk through with the John Klein staff. And I'm just going to take a pause, because I see Mrs. Watson in the back, but feedback or thoughts on our walkthrough with Nick, and all staff being able to get to see what the building's going to look like. And when I say 3D walkthrough, it's like you're in a video game where Nick's working the controller and he's either walking through walls, but he's taking us into the rooms and stuff.
Surprisingly very little feedback, which is good. So they were really grateful for the opportunity. And I think that's what's exciting about the new building, and standards are very low right now. They would accept. So they're just excited to see anything new. And they, as usual, did a fabulous job of walking through and giving us some tour. That was really good.
Okay. Just had a note about that wording on that agenda item, and just a little thing about the AE board. The new thing with the state law, I think it was a year ago, was board superintendents. They're supposed to be on those. So I was elected. There were 4 candidates, and I got elected. So that was a good sign. So I'll be on the Keystone board. And just for fun, I put the link in there, but that means that Decorah will have 2 representatives, because Mike Haluska serves as the director of District 1, and Mike being the former superintendent here prior to Mark Lane. So that's my superintendent's report.
Very good. Sorry, I was reading, you got me to click the link, and so
Okay.
I snuck over there. But
Your picture will be on there at some
I
point.
assume my picture will be on there, yeah.
that takes us item 12, which is our financial report.
And I don't know if Joan's still on. I can't, my eyes aren't good.
She is on.
Oh, she is on.
She's muted.
Oh.
I am on, yes. I'm looking at the cash balance report and I think I sent the wrong thing because I don't think it shows October, November, does it? The one that you're looking at?
No,
Oh, okay, I apologize. I can send that to Tim tomorrow and you can, if you forward it to the board, because I do have that done. I didn't have that for last month. And yeah, and we've got October, November, and there's nothing remarkable. It just, timing of when things come in, and I apologize for that, on the cash balances. Let's see, we did have more.
Joan, maybe, just kind of as a, talking on that, when you're saying when monies come in, we don't get a constant, monthly revenue stream. We get money at different times. And so I always find it helpful not to look at the balances for general fund from month to month. I look at it as from year to year. I like to compare September of 26 with September 25, knowing that there's different times that we spend a lot of general fund and there's a time that we get a lot of general fund in. Is that a fair statement?
There is, yes. And I think we may have talked in September that, we in September and March is when your taxes are due. So most of our property taxes come in September, October, and March, April. We do get our state funding comes in 10 times a year, September through June. So you see that, that's more consistent. But then in the summer, of course, we have a lot less, we don't get the state funding and there's very little property tax that comes through. So you'll see different revenue streams then. And our wages are paid over 12 months. So you see a, fairly consistent, most of the wages are anyway. So you see that fairly consistent, the expenses that way, but there might be a little less in the summer at times.
And a couple specific accounts. There's been an uptick in the management fund. We purposely did that going into the levy situation because we wanted to put more money into management as we pull and push levers or turn faucets. That's a faucet that will turn down a little bit as we ramp up our management, or excuse me, as we ramp up our debt service levy. So our management fund does have a little extra funds in now, knowing that we're going to be putting less into it in the next year or two, and we'll draw that down. And you might see a little bit of an invert in between the save and the PEPAL continue as we are spending down the save a little bit more. And so those same expenses that maybe came out of PEPAL, if we take them out of save, then PEPAL will go up. So if I look and I were to compare just September 2024-25, save had 27 or 2.7 million, almost 2.8. And at the same time in this year was down to 1.5. So you're thinking, oh, we spent down the save by about 1.4. But then if you look at where PEPAL was at, we were at 200,000 and now we're a million more there. So just understand that we are working on spending our save down and build up our PEPAL as just a part of the building project. There's just a little bit more flexibility with the PEPAL funds as we go to, but we're going to need all of it to pay for our project. So those are the only things that I think might jump out at you as you continue to look at those on a month-to-month basis. So, any other highlights, Joan?
No, I did just send you the Google Doc with the November cash balances to share with the board. I think that's it.
Okay.
Very good. Hearing no further discussion, I will call our December